Hello folks, today we are going to implement a new ability in my multiplayer game, and I'm going to take you through the process while I develop it, and hopefully maybe you learn something about multiplayer or satisfy your curiosity about how this is done. How this is going to work, so I want to make a trip mine. Okay, so like a mine you place on the ground, it stays there, and then when something walks over it, it blows up and kills them. And it has to work in multiplayer, which adds an additional few layers to things. Okay, we need a 3D model in Blender of a trip mine. After that, we need to create the ability in Unity. Yeah, so once we create an ability, we're going to need to set that up with particle effects. We're going to need to set up the animation events for when to place it. We're going to need to pick an animation. So we're going to need to have a trigger on the mine that detects layer 9 colliders. It'd be really cool to have one of these, but it heals your friends. It'd be the same code, just layer 10, and it would not call take damage. When something on layer 9 triggers it, it takes damage. We have code for that. We need to send any particle effects to all the clients, but that should be handled by other code that I have. Okay, so just so you guys get an idea of what we're doing here, we need to create a model in Blender of a trip mine, or find one. We just need to get one. We need to create the ability in Unity. We need to pick an animation to play it on. We need to create a collider trigger on the mine that only trips when it detects our AI, which are on layer 9. And we need to send the particle effects to other clients and also play them for ourselves. Let's go look for a trip mine. An anti-tank mine. Those are too new looking. We need something that looks like it's been like taped together. Anyways, here's our pressure bomb. So we need to find an animation next. Alright, I found my animation. It's just gonna be a simple crouch loop. We're gonna use that for now. So now we get to do the fun stuff. So we need to create a new ability. Okay, so we're gonna use this as our base ability. Now we need to create the scriptable object. The cooldown we'll leave at 0 for testing currently. The icon, we don't have one, so we're just gonna choose we'll just use this one for now. Alright, I fixed the problem. I had the wrong action bar slot. So basically where we're at now is you can press 3. You'll do this crouching animation. Can't do anything else, then you'll stand up. The idea is to place the pressure bomb at the end of the animation. That's the idea that's going on here. Rifle crouch loop. So he's crouching, and then he'll stand up over here somewhere. So why don't we place the bomb? Let's keep it easy for now. Takes 4 seconds to place it. And we will just put this on the player just to see where it lands. Alright, so it was another stupid mistake. It was just executing the particle effects code, and there's no particle effects yet, so it'd throw it null. But the bomb works. So, see, it spawns conveniently in the spot I wanted it, so I'm just gonna enjoy the fact that that worked out well. Let's see how it looks on like something like this. Yeah, not terrible. Right. So now we need to actually set up the part of the pressure bomb that actually does something. We want to add a trigger collider. So box collider. I don't want anything to be able to jump over this. it's going to be a little bit strange how this works. And what we're going to do inside of here is write an on trigger enter. Collider other. Alright, so I coded this up to see how it would work. The idea is that the pressure bomb scriptable object, so when the animation event spawns the, I guess the actual prefab, we do the instantiate, we set all the values, so we set the attacker value, damage, lifetime, radius, which are in here as these important values we need. Then we also start the lifetime coroutine inside pressure bomb. The idea is that when you place it, I only want it to last a certain amount of time, and then once that time limit is up, it will destroy itself. I don't want people to be able to just place, you know, an infinite number of these. The longer they wait, I want them to actually fall apart or something eventually. So we'll have that in there. Next thing I've done is on trigger enter, if an enemy walks on the plate, what we want to do is we want to use an overlap sphere using our radius. And we wanted to only look at colliders essentially on layer 9. Now the idea of this is that we want it to cause an area of effect explosion to all enemies within this radius. So the idea is that when an enemy walks on it, it will spawn a overlap sphere at a current position. It will loop through all the colliders that the overlap sphere detects that are on layer 9. Yeah, so it'll basically just get all the colliders. All of this capsule stuff here is for spawning in the actual damage number on the UI. So when you attack something, it will actually spawn a damage number on the UI layer over top of the enemy in the same spot. And so that's all of this crap is for. And then we actually want to deal damage to each of these enemies. So set instant damage is what will actually damage the enemies using our damage number that we set. And we pass it our player object as well. And then damage feedback controls the actual damage UI number that pops up. And so that's where we pass it our capsule center and, you know, some of this other stuff. And then after that, we can finally set the game object to false, because it will mean that it has blown up. So I don't know if we're currently missing anything. We still need to do a particle effect. But I think I'm just going to get in game and see what happens. He's right there. I'll place it. Here it is. So now he's got to run over it. Oh, it worked. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay, it worked. It looked a little funky because it instantly spawned and then blew up because there was already someone standing on it. But, right. Okay, so next we have to add particle effects. I got a little distracted because I wanted the light to blink on the bomb, so I wrote a quick little thing to do that. So I'll just show you before I move on to the particle effects. So if I place the bomb, see there's a little light that blinks. We basically have a blink timer and a blink speed. So blink speed is set to 0.5 because we want it to blink and turn off every half a second. So the blink timer basically will increment its time.delta time every fixed update frame. And then essentially if light blink is on, set the intensity of each light to 8, and then set light blink to false, so it's just a switch. It'll switch back and forth each of these. And then of course every time we switch, we want to reset the light blink timer to 0, because so basically this is 0.5, it's counting up from 0. When this is less than 0.5, it will continue incrementing until it hits 0.5 or greater, in which case it will fail this and move on to the switch, which it bounces between, and that's what controls the lights. So now that that's done, I'm going to actually move on to the particle effects. So what you see here is me logged into the game with my other computer, which is right next to me. And we are going to test this in multiplayer. So let's see what happens. Gonna place the bomb. Alright, and it looks like it worked. Looks like I got some errors. I don't know why. Okay, I think everything's working. We're gonna do one more test to just make sure. So I found an error and I fixed it after a little thought, some mental gymnastics. This is going to be a little bit of a chaotic test because it's all done live to really make sure we know things are working. So I'm going to place a bomb on this guy. I'm gonna place a bomb on the client now. So you can see the bomb's placed, and it detonates and goes off on both the client and the host. And obviously I'm getting destroyed because I'm trying to play two characters at the same time. So the main line that I was missing was this one right here. Basically it checks which client is on the host because I was essentially getting errors. So what happens is these damage display, the damage feedback numbers, the blood effects, and a few other things, including actually dealing damage. These are things that only the host can do, okay? And essentially because the pressure plate bomb is being simulated on every client, every client was trying to basically trigger blood effects and damage numbers and whatnot. But not every client is on the host. Only one client is on the host. And so we want every client to trigger particle effects because that is a local instance. So that's just to make things look pretty, essentially. But it has no actual effect on the game. And so that's why each client can call those locally. But blood effects and all these other things have more... they have more functionality to them. And so, yeah, basically, long story short, we can only have the important things like damage, blood, what else? The damage feedback UI display. These all have to be called from the host. Now, if you want a deeper... if you want a deeper explanation on how this all works, I'm going to make a separate video talking about how multiplayer actually works and how Mirror works, which is the plugin for Unity that we're using, because it's quite confusing, but once you sort of get the hang of it, it's super powerful and kind of crazy because you can code a multiplayer game by yourself or even with another decently experienced developer. It's not that hard to learn, but it takes a bit to wrap your head around. So I realized that I forgot one thing, which is we need to actually update the icon for the ability. So I'm gonna go make that now, and then we'll be done. To make these icons, I actually take the 3D model from in-game, and these, you know, these can obviously be a lot better. I'm only one guy, so I just try to make them look cool. in any way I can. The most important thing about making icons and UI, UI stuff, if you're not a UI artist, is making it consistent. If everything matches, you would be surprised what you can get away with in terms of how bad something can look without people really raising any questions about it, simply because it matches. And that is the truth. Okay, that's kind of neat. Again, these are just like messy, quick little icons that you need. I mean, you can use any program you want. I just have a ton of experience with Blender, so I just make everything in Blender. But like, just use whatever you possibly can to make your icons and make them consistent. Yeah, I mean, like, it looks good enough. You can see that right there. There's our icon. So all we do is we make this into a sprite and UI. Press apply. Let's just see how this looks in game. Nothing amazing, nothing spectacular, but it looks good enough. It matches. Most importantly, it works. If you enjoyed this format, let me know, because I can do more like this. I plan on doing it anyways, regardless of whether you liked it or not, if I'm being honest. But I do want feedback, just if you think it's interesting or whatever. Otherwise, I'm going to try to make more of these because, I don't know, it's kind of neat documenting features, and I think people might be interested in seeing how these things behave in a multiplayer game. So, like I said, I'm going to make a video soon about how multiplayer actually works, so you can wrap your head around it, because that's by far the most important thing. There's not any extensive coding involved if you use the correct plugin to assist with multiplayer. It's mostly about wrapping your head around how it actually all works, because it can be very confusing. But once you understand it, you'll feel like $1,000,000. So thanks for watching. Make sure to check out our game, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, wishlist our game on Steam is going to help a lot. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed this, and see you in the next one.